Okay, I am here in area number 1 Google form. In this lesson, we're going to learn how to find the area of 4 polygons. The first type of polygon is a parallelogram. To find the area of a parallelogram, we use area equals base times height. So A equals BH. A parallelogram is a slanted rectangle. And so opposite sides are parallel, which means they will never intersect, they will never touch. And opposite sides also have the same length. So right here, number 1, we see a parallelogram. We could say this side is parallel to this side, as well as this side being parallel to this side. Okay, opposite sides are parallel and have the same length. The base of the parallelogram and the height form what's called a right angle, and a right angle is a 90-degree angle. And so as you can see, this dashed line right here, this dashed line forms a right angle. This box right here is the symbol that we use for a right angle. And so we would say that the base, which we can label B, the base is 7, and the height, how tall is the parallelogram? It is 13 meters tall, so we can label this H. As you can see, the base and the height form a right angle. Okay, now a rectangle would be a parallelogram as well. It's a special parallelogram because all angles are right angles. Okay, so if you see a rectangle, it would fall into this category. We would say base times height, or you probably know it as length times width. Okay, so what I'm going to first do is write down the equation or the formula to find the area of a parallelogram. And that's what I've encouraged you to do. Even though you're putting your answers into this Google form on a piece of paper, I would like for you to write down the formula to find the area of the polygon, which in this case is a parallelogram. And then we're going to plug the particular values into the equation to find the area. Okay, so I see a parallelogram. I'm going to write down the area formula to find the area of a parallelogram. So A equals BH. Okay, I'm going to plug in, here's B, base is 7. So I'm going to plug in my values, area equals, here's B, I'm going to plug in 7. So I just put a 7 where the B is. Then I'll plug in H. Here's H, the height of the parallelogram, which is 13. As you can see, I'm putting these numbers in parentheses so that I will know to multiply 7 times 13. And so my area, if I use my calculator, which I'll let you for this module, for this topic, 7 times 13, you would put that in your calculator and get 91. Now, because this is area, we know area is in square units, and so this would be 91 meters squared. Okay. Now, in the answer box, just put the number in. That way, it'll count it correct. Okay. So just put 91 into the answer box, but just understand that area is in square units. So we would say 91 meters squared. All right, so that's area of parallelogram. Now on to area of a trapezoid. What is a trapezoid? A trapezoid is a quadrilateral, so it's a four-sided shape, a four-sided polygon, but it only has one pair of parallel sides. We know that a parallelogram has two pair of parallel sides. A trapezoid only has one pair of parallel sides. And it has two unequal bases, so the bases are not the same length. The height of the trapezoid is the segment perpendicular, which is a way to say 90 degrees. It is perpendicular to both bases. And so the height in a trapezoid is usually shown with a dashed line shown with a right angle. So that little box. Okay, it does not matter which base you label B sub 1 and which base you label B sub 2, because the sum, when you add those bases together, will be the same. And that's how you pronounce it. This is B sub 1, which simply means the first base. This is B sub 2, which simply means the second base. And so to find the area, like the area formula tells us to, we will add the bases together, right? That's what's in the parentheses. So we'll add the first base to the second base. Then we'll multiply by this right here, which is 1/2 of the height, or 1/2 times the height. Okay, so you take half of the height and you multiply that by the sum of the bases. So here in number 2 right here, we have a trapezoid. And what I would first encourage you to do is write down this formula. Area equals 1/2 times the sum of the bases times the height. Now, as you can see in this formula, the H is written over here. Now, we know that when multiplying, the order that you multiply does not matter. So it doesn't matter if H comes here or it's put up here. Okay, as long as you multiply all these numbers together, your product will be the same. Okay, so don't be thrown off if you see the H at the end. A little note here, it says the base and the height always form a right angle. Okay, here's my right angle right here, this little box. And so this base and this height form a right angle. And so this right here, this 5 would be my H, the height of the trapezoid. As you can see, I have two different bases. This is a base and this is a base. This base is 10 inches. This base is 12 inches. So these sides are parallel to each other, but they are not equal to each other, right? This is 10 and this is 12. As you can tell, this side is not parallel to this side. If we were to continue this line segment this way and this line segment this way, as you can see, they would intersect. They would cross. And so they are not parallel. So I'm going to write down my area formula. Area equals 1/2. Let me just put H next to the 1/2. So 1/2 of height times the sum of the bases. So B1 plus B2. Okay, now I'm going to plug in what I know right here. So area equals 1/2 times my height, which I identified as 5. So 1/2 times 5. Okay, then I have B1 plus B2. This is B1. This is B2. It doesn't matter which one you call B1 and B2 because if you're adding them together, 10 plus 12 is the same thing as 12 plus 10. So the order that you add doesn't matter. You're going to get the same sum. Okay, so I'm going to add these bases together. So I would get area equals, what is 1/2 of 5? Well, 1/2 of 5, that's like 1/2 times 5. Or you could take 5 and divide by 2, right? Because if you take 5 and divide by 2, that would give you 1/2 of 5. And 1/2 of 5 is 2.5. I'm going to multiply that by the sum of these bases. So 10 plus 12, that is 22. So in my calculator, if I type in 2.5 times 22, that'll give me the area of this trapezoid. And if you put that in your calculator, you'll get 55. Again, this is area. Area is in square units. And so this should be inches squared. Okay, because this is a Google form, just put the number in. You don't have to put inches squared, just put the number 55 in. Okay, so we got parallelogram, we got trapezoid. Third shape is a rhombus. A rhombus looks like a kite. It is a special type of parallelogram since all four sides have the same length. Opposite sides are parallel and have same length, and we use D sub 1 to represent the first diagonal and D sub 2 to represent the second diagonal. Again, it does not matter which one you call D1 and which one you call D2, since the product will be the same. You're going to be multiplying 1/2 times the first diagonal times the second diagonal. And so the order that you multiply does not matter. Remember, because that is the commutative property of multiplication. And so area of rhombus equals 1/2 times D1 times D2. A little note here, remember that multiplying by 1/2 is the same as dividing by 2. So here, number 3, here's my rhombus. As you can see, it kind of looks like a kite. And I have these diagonals from this corner to this corner, right? This dashed line is a diagonal, and it tells me this is 9 centimeters. So let me call this D sub 1, my first diagonal. And then from this corner to this corner, another dashed line. That is my second diagonal, which is telling me it's 6 centimeters. So let me call this D sub 2. Okay, so if I want to find the area of this rhombus, I'm going to write down the area formula of a rhombus, which is 1/2 times D sub 1 times D sub 2. As you can see, 1/2, D sub 1 and D sub 2 are written next to each other, and there's no operation symbols or between them. And so that's understood to be multiplication. So I'm going to take area equals 1/2 D1. What do we call D1? That's 9, right? The first diagonal is 9 centimeters. D sub 2, what's D sub 2? We call that 6 centimeters. Okay? So area equals, let me go ahead and do 9 times 6. 9 times 6, you know, is 54, right? So I'm going to have 1/2 times 54. So I could do 1/2 times 54, but remember, multiplying by 1/2 is the same as dividing by 2. If I want 1/2 of 54, I could just take 54 and cut it in half. And cutting it in half is like dividing by 2. So 54 divided by 2, you should get 26. 27. Okay, so my area is 27, and because this is area, this is square units, so this would be centimeters squared. Because it's a Google form, just put the number in, just put in 27. Okay, so we've had parallelograms, we've had trapezoids, we've had rhombuses. Those are all quadrilaterals, right? They have 4 sides. The last shape we'll talk about is a triangle. A triangle is a 3-sided polygon. And to find the area of a triangle, we take 1/2 times the base times the height. So the height of the triangle is the segment from a vertex, so from the corner of the triangle to a side that forms a right angle, or 90 degrees. So in this triangle, as you can see, I have from a vertex, this vertex right here, down this dashed line to this side, that forms a right angle. And whenever the right angle is formed, that is your height. So right here, 8 is my height. Notice how 8 is my height. 9 is not my height. That is not how tall the triangle is. From right here to right here, from the bottom of the triangle to the top of the triangle, where the right angle is formed, is 8 feet. So that is my height. This 11 right here is the base. That is the base of the triangle. So let's write down area of a triangle formula. Area equals 1/2 times base times height. Let's plug in what we know right here. So area equals 1/2. What's B? What do we call B? B is 11. So I'm going to put 11 for B. What's H? What's the height of the triangle? 8. Okay. So area equals 1/2. What is 11 times 8? That's 88, right? So area is 1/2 times 88. What is 1/2 of 88? Or take 88 and cut it in half. And cutting it in half is like dividing by 2. So that would be 44, right? 44 is half of 88. So this is area, so it's square units. So this is 44 feet squared. So that's what I would label it. Because it's a Google form, we'll just put in the number. So you're just going to put in 44. Okay. So number 5, you're finding area of parallelogram. So use area equals base times height. Number 6, area of a triangle. So like we just talked about, area equals 1/2 times base times height. Remember, the height is where the right angle is formed. So this right angle is right here. This is going to be your height. Of course, 4 would be your base. So A equals 1/2 times base times height. Number 7, area of a triangle. So area equals 1/2 times base times height. And number 8, you have a parallelogram. So A equals BH, right? Area equals base times height. Remember, the height is where the right angle is formed. So be very careful on number 8. And then number 9, you have a trapezoid. Okay, so a trapezoid, we know area equals 1/2 of the height times the sum of the bases. So B sub 1 plus B sub 2. Okay, you'll write that down first, and you'll plug in the height and B1 and B2 to find the area. Once you submit, view your score. If you miss any, click edit your response to fix the ones that you missed.